from Moscow once again. This is my first video since I got back from the south of Russia, my holiday. I thought I should make a video while the weather is so amazing and while it's still spring and not quite summer. Now straight ahead is Moscow State University. One of the Stalinist skyscrapers. The past few days in Moscow, it's been around 30 degrees Celsius. Really feels like summer. In terms of personal drama, the fact is that since I got back from holiday, I discovered that the Russian state said, yeah, you can stay in Russia, you can have temporary residency. That was in the form of an email, and at that point I just couldn't bring myself to celebrate because I knew I would have to go and get it. And it's when you go to collect things, when you go to get a stamp in your passport or something signed off, that's when you have to run the gauntlet of officious, efficient, bureaucratic stuff. I just knew it wasn't a done deal, and in fact, I was absolutely right about that. When we got to the migration center, well, it took us the whole day. Throughout that day, we were uncertain about whether I would actually get the temporary residency. Can you imagine that? For the whole, I mean, just being there for the whole day is bad enough, but keeping us in suspense for those hours. They noticed that my migration card and registration and visa were all out of date. I knew that already, of course, because it's all to do with the pandemic. Technically, I was supposed to be back in the UK in March. So the end result is I am officially resident in Russia. There's nothing they can do to throw me out. Nobody can question my my past migration status. It doesn't matter anymore. I have residency. Got a stamp in my passport. So long as I don't break the law, which I wasn't intending on doing anyway, then I should be okay. These are those buildings across at the other side of the lake there. I don't know if they still are, but they were, maybe still are, some of the highest, oh look, geese, no, not geese, some of the highest apartment buildings in Europe. Now this bit's tricky on a single speed. It's all right. No problem. Something is clicking. Something on my bike is clicking. Bottom bracket, chain ring, the cog, I don't know. I can't stand it. This building ahead is a mosque. I suppose it's the second biggest mosque in Moscow. And it's built right next to the Voctory Park, and that's not a coincidence. There are memorials to commemorate the contribution of different groups of people to the war against the Nazis. So the building of the mosque there is significant. There's a huge population of the Soviet Union was Muslim. And here we are, Voctory Park. Also inside here, they're planning on a bit of peace and quiet now. They're planning on building some kind of Buddhist temple, or at least a memorial to the contribution of the Buddhist people to the Soviet victory. And well, the people of Kalmykia, which is, well, it's still part of Russia, they're Buddhist. I suppose there are people further east who are Buddhist as well. Tuva, maybe? I'm not sure. That's a monument to the United Nations. Basically to the Allies. So that's the foundation stone of the Buddhist temple. Been there for a few years apparently, and they still haven't got around to building the actual building. But straight ahead now is the Memorial Synagogue. There is also a Holocaust memorial around here as well. Maybe I'll be going past it. And there is the Victory Museum, which I haven't been to yet.
It's still a construct.
Yeah.
not a poster.
Funny thing is, I could tell she was speaking English before she said a word, just from the way she was laughing. But she wasn't even British, American, Australian. English wasn't even her first language, but it's like I could tell. You can tell from some of the noises people make, whether it's laughing, whether it's exclamations of pain or disappointment. They are all surprisingly different in different languages. Well, in the distance there is Moscow State University. Cycled past there about 15 minutes ago. And those very high apartment buildings by the lake. This is a great part of town just for the view. And this Victory Park is built on a hill. And it's quite difficult to get an expansive view in Moscow. So that's one of the reasons I like coming up here. Ruddy shell ducks. Well, this is the first time I've been here since they turned the fountains. There's another museum down there. They're all war museums, primarily about the Second World War. And down there are lots of tanks, airplanes, military bits and pieces from the Second World War, which are cool, but which I'm not showing you right now for some perverse reason. I like this church here. It's very elegant. I mean, yes, it has a gold dome and gold trim, but compared with some other churches, it's not too showy. Straight ahead, I suppose, is St. George slaying the dragon. Where's the dragon? Huh. Next to the dragon, or maybe it's supposed to be part of the dragon, I see a block with a swastika on it. So St. George there is the Soviet Union, or the Allies, or Russia, or all three. And the dragon is the Nazis. St. George and the dragon significantly is in the what's the emblem or coat of arms or crest or whatever you call it of Moscow, the city of Moscow. So I guess you can call St. George the patron saint of Moscow. So if you ever see the flag of Moscow, it's got St. George slaying the dragon on it, just like that. So that's quite a nice parallel. Incidentally, this sculpture with St. George slaying the dragon at the foot of it, but also including this huge pointy thing. Is it an obelisk? This is yet another sculpture by Tsereteli. I spoke in a video a while ago about the monument to Peter the Great. Same sculptor. Same pretty unpopular sculptor. But like I think I said before, he's growing on me. He just produces so much. He has some hits and some misses. And the, I didn't even mention at the time, but the Holocaust Memorial that I stopped to have a look at, that's by him as well. I don't think it's quite poignant and powerful one. Let's go for a ride. I haven't decided where to go. I could head down to the river, have a look at these skyscrapers. Or I could head alongside a smaller river that goes through a forest. The modern skyscrapers of Moscow are not in what's generally regarded as the city centre. They're some way outside of it. Bloody hell, it's windy. Right, I'm approaching an incredible bottleneck. It's a massive multi-layer junction. The bottleneck is caused by the railway and the river coming together. Even on foot, I don't think there's another way to get across. To get through this part of the city without going through this junction. So in a few seconds I'm going to be getting off my bike and taking, I think it's 3 or 4 underpasses just to get across this junction. Okay. This bridge carries one of the major ring roads of Moscow, the third ring, and over there, Moscow City. Some of the highest buildings in Europe there. Does it still have the highest? I know one of them was overtaken by the Shard in London, but since then, at least one taller one's been built. I just realised you don't have a view at the moment. Hold on. There, how about that? I think when you cluster buildings so tall together like that, you lose a sense of scale. They don't really stand out so much. I don't get a sense from here that there are, you know, tallest buildings in Europe. And I think that's because they are clustered together. This is a deck beneath the actual functional deck of the third ring highway. You can't cross over the river using this. When you get to the end, there's a huge drop, and it's impossible to get across to the other bank. So I don't really know what this is for. Maybe it was supposed to be a footbridge originally. Got to be careful here. There is a steep fault. So one of the most interesting of these skyscrapers over there is that twisty one. Not necessarily my favorite, but in terms of its concept and the engineering involved, I think it's maybe the most interesting. It's called Evolution. That's a reference to its double helix DNA-like structure. It's now been dwarfed by the other ones, but still impressive. you cannot smell right now is the smell of grilled meat. A few groups of people have come here with their mangals, a Russian outdoor barbecue type thing, and they're cooking shashlik. Which is meat on skewers. Shashlik, shish, same etymological derivation. I'm a bit grumpy yet again. Well, I'll tell you what happened. I had a small crisis 2 or 3 days ago, and I'd had a few wines. Let's just have another look at the skyscrapers from this angle. I think it's a good view. So, like I was saying a few days ago, I had a few glasses of wine, and I was walking home on my own, and bought some cigarettes. It hadn't been my intention. Yeah, it was Friday. I remember that because it was exactly 4 weeks since I gave up nicotine entirely, stopped vaping. I didn't choose to mark that anniversary by buying cigarettes. That would have been weird, but that's how it happened. And I smoked 6 of them. Yeah, 6 of them that night, and then 1 the next day, and then destroyed the rest of them. And even just smoking 7 of them, people will tell me it's the habit, it's psychology, blah blah blah. Well, I don't know why people like to minimize the strength of the chemical dependency that is nicotine addiction. But so many people do like to minimize it and say, it's not the nicotine, it's the habit. I'm not addicted to nicotine, it's the habit. It's psychological. Well, I really feel it. I really notice it. It took me many years actually to recognize what it was, but I become intensely grumpy. And after 4 weeks without nicotine, the intense grumpiness was gone completely. I was calm, reasonable. I used to face difficulties. Before Friday, with poise and equanimity. I still wanted nicotine, and I think I'll always feel that, but I was doing all right. But then I had the cigarettes, and I've been kind kind of back to square one in terms of the dependency and the grumpiness goes. And right now I'm feeling that grumpiness. Drivers and the pedestrians. I mean, I love this city of 20 million people. Apart from the 20 million people, I don't mean it, but I kind of mean it. The nice cycle path just unceremoniously comes to an end. Now here I have a choice to continue on this not very wide sidewalk, or to cross over and use the bus and taxi lane. It's rush hour and I just don't want to be infected with the stress of the car drivers, because it really is infectious. So see what I mean? So I'm going to have to deal with I was going to say asshole pedestrians, but again, that's the nicotine withdrawal talking. Well, it's amazing that we've been passing one of the major power stations of central-ish Moscow, and I haven't even mentioned it. Look for a moment at the river traffic.